that I could have the most beautiful nursery in the world and sell plants to anybody who comes by, and they rely on the expertise of people who are actually educated. Is the #1 problem we need to solve. It's not a big hassle to do. You're going to want to have high expensive plants, so maybe I would have took their advice. All of these plants have something in common. Cedar tree, red maple, podocarpus. If you want to be successful in selling plants, well, you need to find a... This is really as close as I can get to the bee colony without doing anything stupid. So. Red maple, podocarpus, hickory tree, gardenia. Why am I naming off all these different trees, and why am I growing them in my nursery is the question, right? Well, all these trees solve problems. If you want to get into business, and the best way to make the most money is to solve somebody's problem. All these trees solve somebody's problem. If I grow citrus, I know I can have a pretty bountiful harvest of fruit towards the end of the year around winter time. Or if I do avocado, I know late summer, right now, avocados are falling from the trees and producing fruit. If I want figs, late spring, early summer, fruit. If I want something early winter or late winter, pomegranate. It doesn't matter. All these trees have the potential to solve some problem, and they all are a little bit different from each other. While, say, the ones I listed are all fruit trees, they all fruit at different times, so they all solve a different problem, right? But how does a cedar tree solve a problem? Oh, well, it provides privacy, shade, habitat, diversity, beauty. How does a gardenia solve problems? Well, it provides food for pollinators, a privacy hedge. Similar to the cedar tree, just now we have color involved because we love color and motion. You should watch a video I made about color and motion. Or what about a desert rose or cactus? Well, cactuses also provide fruit, beauty, uniqueness, and protection from predators because cactuses are some of the most resilient plants and have the lowest water requirements. So I can have a green plant in a low water area. What do we need to do to maintain and manage and have a successful nursery? Well, there's a few simple things I think that will go a long way for you. The first problem I had when running a nursery was time. And there's plenty of time to grab a seed, plant it, but it's the times that you miss in your watering cycle that really affect your nursery in the long run. So I would struggle to consistently give my plants some kind of water that they could depend on because they needed it. So if somebody would have told me 10 years ago that by buying a $40 water timer and maintaining the batteries on a 3-month cycle that I could have the most beautiful nursery in the world, maybe I would have took their advice. So my advice to you is if you can only be pretty consistent and not perfectly consistent, to buy a $40 water timer or spend $100 and get a Rainbird or $200, however much, and have some kind of a consistent watering schedule because water makes all the difference. If you have good water and good sunlight, you have good plants. Soil is important too, but plants will typically be okay in most soils. So water is the #1 problem we need to solve. The next problem that we need to solve is how do we manage these plants? Plants like to have other plants next to them. And unfortunately, those other plants tend to be native nuisance plants that we don't like and we call weeds. And that's good. That means the soil is good enough to grow other plants, therefore your plant probably will grow as well. But trying to keep your plants as the dominant plant in a flower pot is where the problem begins. How do we maintain weeds? Well, I like to put my plants in pots up on a pedestal of some sort. Now, these are just pallets laid out, and that gets them off the ground, 4 to 6 inches. And that's enough height that I can come through here with the spacing right with my mower, and I can mow the edges of the weeds consistently. It's not a big hassle to do. That keeps the weeds or grass seeds around here at bay and limits the amount of seeds that get into my pots. I don't use any chemicals. I never recommend that because we're selling these plants or aesthetics or for pollinators, right? We don't want that on our pollinators. By managing our weeds in this way and only pulling when there's too many weeds like this with our hands, because it's pretty easy to do on a small scale nursery, then we have healthier plants, no chemicals, all that good stuff. So put your plants on some sort of a riser or platform So you can just weed eat the edges and not damage the flower pots, which in turn could damage the roots or cause them to bust out or just not be as appealing when you go to sell them. So water and weed management is number 2. Well, now we're getting into something else. You can sell plants part-time, but you can't exceed a certain amount in most states before you need to get some kind of licensing. Well, you need to talk to your local government and apply for a nursery license. And what they're going to do is they're going to come out and they're going to inspect your crop plants. And they're going to make sure you're not transmitting any diseases, that your plants look healthy, that you have a presentable nursery, that you're not trafficking illegal plants, that you're not doing anything that wouldn't be good for the rest of humanity, because the government wants to tell you what's best for humanity. But after they come and inspect your plants, now you're allowed to sell. I can go to a nursery and have a storefront and brick and mortar. I could have a little garage sale and sell plants to anybody who comes by and sees a garage sale / plant sale. They can come in and legally buy plants from me. I can post them on Facebook Marketplace. I can do them at a local farmer's market, local hobby shop or something, thrift store maybe. They might let you put a display in there. You could even, I've seen them in coffee shops, y'all. Like, you can sell plants anywhere. But usually if you're going to have such high expensive storefront, you're going to want to have high expensive plants. So a lot of the plants that we sell don't have the markups to really warrant putting them in high-end brick and mortar places. But so if you want to be successful in selling plants, well, you need to find a problem. And that's why I started this video with talking about plants and how they solve problems. So when you go to sell the plants that you grow, you won't have a problem. So if you can find a person's problems, you can sell them a solution and they'll pay whatever usually, especially if you can prove the solution is more valuable than the cost. That's an easy way to sell somebody. This is the tree life. If you found any value in this video, it was a short one, but I would really appreciate you subscribing. That will help get my analytics up, and maybe I can keep this channel monetized and I can spread more love and passion for these beautiful organisms that we are the stewards of and that we are forced to maintain, because there's other people out here that are just trying to ruin it. So this is really as close as I can get to the bee colony without doing anything stupid. If I told you you could save $40 to $60 a month by planting shade trees and producing shade over your house, wouldn't that seem like it was worth buying a $40 plant? Anyways, we'll see you next time.